Hello and welcome. This week we're chatting Critical Role launching Beacon, X-Men 97 spoiler-free thoughts, and the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Come join us on First Geek 411 with me, your host, Cameron Franklin, and the birthday girl from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How you doing?
The U.S. mail system really delivered and got my set of dice to me on my birthday, which I love. So I currently have dice in front of me. They're for my character Saphira, who's based off of Aloy. So they're this fun, like, blue, sort of see-through-y color, and it's kind of like a Nordic, Celtic design on them.
I love those so much. They're so cool.
Because she's a rune knight fighter as well. So I'm doing pretty good. I am officially 29, and I have dice.
And new
dice
math
for my
rocks.
birthday. And new math rocks for my birthday.
They're perfect for all your random number generating needs.
Yeah. So I'm doing good.
Yes. As we get into what we have been up to, as a reminder, we are First Geek 411. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server if you want to hang out during the week, and shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live on Twitch Monday nights around 6:40 Mountain Time, and then find the videos over on our YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. You can also check out that Redbubble store for that merch. Okay. Emma, you already talked about your birthday. What else have you been up to today? Whether connected to that or today, this week, whether connected to that or otherwise.
I am celebrating tomorrow playing D&D via Math Rocks, shiny Math Rocks. So that is how I am celebrating. I work today, so nothing super exciting, except I finished work early, like 2 p.m., and I did get all of my work done so that I could play video games and eat Huckleberry ice cream, because I am a Washington person, and that's something that we do. It's Huckleberry ice cream is a big deal in Washington. Yeah, so I went and got myself Huckleberry ice cream. And I, earlier this week, got myself Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart because it was on sale.
Fun game.
And I started playing that. It's a fun game. Very sort of, not like super easy, but it's like lighthearted and super chill.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been having fun with that. Watched the 3rd episode of Doctor Who. Boom. Mm-hmm. Felt very classic Russell T Davies.
Yep.
Could have been a 2-episode story arc, but they're crunched for time, so whatever.
Yeah.
It was nice to return to that sort of style of and general vibe for Doctor Who. Yeah. Played Pathfinder on what was that, Saturday. Yeah, with Cameron, obviously. Lots of fun. There was only 3 of us who played. Mm-hmm. And we enveloped people in storms and threatened them via licking eyeballs, because I am a frog person and I have turned that into Kirpley's entire personality.
Hey, you do what you gotta do.
Technically, that's a gecko trait and not a frog trait, but I find it absolutely hilarious and decided to make it her thing because she is also a reptile. So, reasons. And that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And then Bridgerton came out on Thursday, and so I have watched, the first half of season 3, which is only 4 episodes, but, still, that's 4 episodes, so I may have watched those 4 episodes at least 3 times over the course of the past 4 days, because I like my my Regency era romance stories a lot, even as mainly a fantasy sci-fi person. So yay, history fantasy, because it's not even truly accurate to history. So that's been my week. Super chill. Happy 29th birthday to me. Gonna play D&D tomorrow to celebrate. Yay.
Boop, boop. Yep. Very happy birthday. As Emma said, for me, played Pathfinder. It was, I love our group that we play on City on a Hill with, but it was kind of fun having a smaller group because it felt like
Yeah.
our characters like got moments to shine, where I feel like a lot of times with a bigger party, it's harder to like have those moments just because you get so many fewer turns of like if there's 6 of us and it takes 10 rounds to finish the battle, you only get 1.5 turns. Like,
Yeah.
but like with
Yeah.
there only being 3 of us, we got multiple rounds, characters got to do things, stuff like
Yep.
that. I'm excited because like I finally got to hit with my character's like signature ability because I'd missed with it every time up until
Yes.
now, and so I'm really excited about that. And then it was also really cool to kind of actually getting to see the class do like what it is about the Magus that I really like. So for people that don't know, the Magus is all about channeling spells through your weapon attacks, and so it's like my favorite archetype in video games and RPGs, and so I'm really enjoying Ezek and like actually getting a combat where like he has some time to shine was really cool. And like some time to shine, I mean by actually hitting the thing, and so.
It's funny you mentioned that because now that I think about it, it was nice to go back to playing a druid for a little bit. Anyone who doesn't know, I'm a druid main. I love my druids so much. I have not touched the druid class in years because I've been trying to at least play all of the other like main classes, fighter, barbarian, you know, whatever. But it was nice to go back and actually play as a druid, even though it's Pathfinder, and be like, oh yes, I am very comfortable in this setting. There's a reason I like this class so much.
As you said before, I'm excited for you to jump into like the Pathfinder druid just because it is like pretty different compared to D&D.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for you to kind of have your like gives and takes of what that means. Like at least from like the outside, like I feel like the Pathfinder druid's like a better spellcaster, but then is like you don't have wild shape right away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the route I'm kind of going with Kerpley isn't necessarily a wild shape route, because I'm doing more of like, as I've said in other areas, like she's more Storm from X-Men inspired, so much more that route of like weather elemental inspired, which I can do with Pathfinder. It's a lot harder to do that with 5e. So I'm really taking advantage of that. Yeah. Because I can.
Yeah, because I feel like for D&D, from the one druid that I've played, but then like GMing multiple druids in various games and then seeing you in Pathfinder, it's like in D&D druids are all about, even if you're not wild shaping, it's like you're using your wild shape as a resource. So like I played the wildfire druid, which like isn't about you wild shaping, but you use your wild shape to summon your basically fire elemental. And like that's the resource there. Or like Deanna is playing a Circle of the Stars druid, which is all about like starry form. So instead of wild shaping, you enter these 3 other forms, but like wild shaping is still your resource.
Yeah.
It's just
and
like,
it's one of your main things that you can do.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Won't go into too many spoilers. That will be up on City on a Hill, I assume in the next week or so. So go check that out. Hopefully we'll also have some more Pathfinder coming quickly as well, since it has been a bit since we had a chance to play. Broth says that they love Circle of the Stars. It's a very fun druid archetype. And so I definitely have like enjoyed seeing it played. For other stuff, we'll get into X-Men 97 thoughts later on, but finished X-Men 97. As part of that, I was also reading... Oh, it's on the table. I had meant to move it next to me, and I forgot. I finished reading House of X, Powers of X, which is the graphic novel that collects House of X and Powers of X 1 through 6s, and then like tells the story like alternating between those comics. And so it was a very cool read. I know like Krakoan era has been receiving a lot of praise, especially now that I guess the comics are moving to the next thing for the X-Men. There's a lot of people talking about how much they liked the Krakoan stuff. And so it was very cool getting to read these. I'm looking forward to reading more. Since I'll be picking up Marvel Unlimited for our book club, I will probably be reading some on there, and then we'll try to find some stuff to pick up in store as well to actually get the physical. Because like you, I do really prefer to have the physical when I can. But then, okay. And then I accidentally full screened my window of my notes. And then after finishing House of X, Powers of X, I started reading Spider-Verse Across the Multiverse, which is a collection of like all of the Spider-Man one-shots that they've done, or like single issues. And so it's like basically the introduction of just a whole bunch of Spider characters. And so like you get like the intro of like Penny Parker and stuff like that. And so like I don't know if it's like always their first appearance by any means, but like Peter Parked-Car is there.
Parked car, like
yeah, he's
like
it's like park car. I don't think it's past tense, but yeah, he's a dune buggy basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's also like T-Rex Peter Parker is in there, and yeah, so like there's a lot of very fun like random things. Overall, like there is kind of a cohesive narrative because it's about like Madam Web going through the web of life and destiny or whatever to find all the different spider people and bring them together. But it's not like in this that there's a cohesive story. It's kind of just, here's this character, here's something that occurs to them, and then here's
their general vibe.
Yeah,
you know?
and then they get brought in. And so like it's a very fun read, but it's not like a lasting story that has payoffs, at least from where I'm at yet. Those occur in like other comics, and so but I have enjoyed that. Also in the world of Marvel, been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, which is the Marvel Overwatch game. And so people can find my streams of that over on Cameron plus Deanna, as well as over with Locksteady over on their channel. I got the sick Scarlet Witch costume or like skin that you get from reaching max level in the open beta or closed alpha, I mean. And then as through doing that as well, I also hit the level that should get me automatically brought in to the closed beta when that comes up as well. And so
nice.
I'm excited to play that and check more of it out as it comes. I put a lot more time into it than I anticipated as someone who doesn't like PvP games that much. Like I definitely prefer my single player story games. And so I put a lot more there than I had anticipated. We should be getting news. The closed alpha ends tonight as of recording. And so we might have some news next week about like how the closed alpha did and stuff like that. I was trying to find some from today, but there wasn't anything since it was still going. Also in the world of video games, I finished the campaign for Diablo 4. Did that last night. Have literally no clue what happens in the story. I need to go look it up and like kind of get like a story overview. But I finished my first play. I got my sorcerer to level 50 as well, and unlocked world tier 3. And so now I'm starting a necromancer for the season to try to see some of the seasonal content. And then also playing more Animal Well, a little bit more Tunic. Kind of just been like jumping around between a lot of different games. And then
still mildly convinced that Animal Well is just Animal Crossing made like PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah, but spooky. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely something, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And then yeah, streams of that over on Cameron plus Deanna as well. And then lastly, played D&D last night. Right, yeah. And people will know I was worried that this might be my first time killing a character. I will have you know, they
Did it happen?
survived. No,
Yay!
they made it. And so, I was very close to like taking down another character just by the virtue of like kind of the squishy party. Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
we have a cleric and a monk as like our front line, and then we have a druid. And so there's definitely a bit of the like there's not a fully tanky character. Like obviously the clerics in D&D can do quite a bit of tanking, but they're not like necessarily full on paladin type stuff. But we survived, we made it through, and hey, that's what counts. And so
It is indeed what counts.
yeah. Listeners, watchers, let us know what you've been up to, either in the Twitch chat or over in the YouTube comments. Or, of course, we can chat over in that Discord. Let's jump into our discussion topics for the week. Ibba, what do you got for us?
Something. So my thing happened a couple of weeks ago, but we were off when this happened, and I just recently remembered that it happened. So I am bringing it now. Critical Role launched their new sort of little service thingy called Beacon, or if you have the phone app, it's called Pocket Beacon, which is in reference to a running joke called Pocket Bacon. It's basically, it's not a full like streaming service for all their content. It's like a half streaming service, kind of. They've got some new. It's a new way of supporting them every month. You do get access to some new exclusive, like content things. Most of their stuff remains free, or pretty much all of it, except for a couple of these new shows. Remain, free to access on Twitch and YouTube. But this Beacon also gives you, if you pay for it, pre-sales and discounts to live shows, new, events in the future, things like that. For Campaign 3, they're also doing a thing that's like Campaign 3 summarized, basically, where they're going through each episode and trimming it down from 4+ hours to like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So getting all of the most important bits of each episode into one thing that's not insanely long, which they're only on like episode 14 or 15 right now, but still that's very nice.
Yeah.
And very helpful. Had this existed for campaigns 1 and 2, I would have taken advantage of that. As someone who literally binged all of campaign 1 and is still working on campaign 2. But it's cool, it's great. I had the app pulled up. They've got a lot of their content in one place now, which is great. And then they have a fun little thing at the bottom that's like roll the dice, and it's like if you can't decide what you want to watch, you can just click it, and then it'll pick a random. So it picked for me episode 46 from campaign 2.
Hope you got 4 hours. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, you can't decide? Here's a random content generator of like, we'll pick something for you, which is like kind of fun. Of like, they recognize that sometimes you just want someone to pick for you, and that's cool. And it's just figured I would bring it to the world for Critical Role fans. I am hopelessly behind on campaign 3, but still, it's kind of fun. And you get, there's early access for the Reslayer's Take, a couple of other podcasts, things like that. It's kind of cool because it's like they're not leaning into it a whole bunch as like a full-on streaming service for all of their content, so much as it is like, we're gonna take that general concept and like just have it be more like a library, where it's like you don't have to have a subscription to access all our content, because that's all still going to be like YouTube and things. But like, This just makes it easier.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Kind of like what you're saying. Like I've seen episode 1 of season 3, and I fell off like 40 episodes into season 2. So like I'm excited for Critical Role Abridged. That's like kind of an announcement that like I don't think necessarily is a Beacon exclusive, because I think it's just on their YouTube. But like it's really cool that they're kind of using this as a time to like get more eyes on season 3, and then of course push people to Beacon. I know like in their announcement as well, one of the big things that they talked about was like the risk of being on platforms where those platforms can change their policy, and then surprise, now you like aren't in the algorithm. Like they just don't show your video to anyone. And like of course like some channels do okay because like they have a big base of people that watch their content, but like there are other channels where people like are used to
really
making X. Yeah, they're used to making X amount of money. This is their livelihood. And then not even intending to, but like something happens in the video, it gets flagged by the bot, and then now their video is not shown to anyone, and like their livelihood is tanked for that, like like for that money that they needed. And so, let alone the fact of like companies like Twitch just kind of going through and like changing how subscriptions work and things like that, so you're getting less money per sub and things like that. And so happy for them that they're kind of taking ownership of their of that. I think it's a great way of like protecting their brand. And I like kind of as you said, I like that they're not like getting rid of the Twitch and YouTube either. Like I think that was I think a lot of people's fears when they announced this is it's like, are you locking your content behind a subscription? And like there will be some exclusive content and stuff like that, and that's fine. Like
and it's like it's like 10% of their content is exclusive. Because we've seen other groups make moves similar to this in the past, but have gotten backlash because it's like 90% of their content ends up being behind a paywall, and their audience happens to be an audience that maybe can't afford to pay that paywall, or things like that. So
I like that they also address like why they're not going with Patreon, and like I like that they just like basically straight up said, hey, it is about the money. Like it's like, we could go to Patreon, but like it's going to be way more complex to figure out what goes where than if we just build it ourselves. And then B, like if our fans are like if their fans are willing to support them for $5 a month, they should get that $5, not like they're like, hey, we legit just don't want Patreon taking a cut. Like
they literally are like, we recognize that we are asking you for money to, we're asking you to pay us, and we recognize that, and in turn we want to give you your money's worth. If we're going to ask you to pay us for this, then we want to make sure that we are giving you what your money is worth.
Varath says, I'll be really bummed when First Geek is 90% paywalled. Man, once we get there though, I'm going to be pushing that button, like lock it all up. Like, but obviously like we're a long way off from that, but like, if that were to even ever happen,
I know I would be mildly surprised if that ever happened, honestly.
But again, I'm hyped for them. I feel like this is such a good move, and like they have the audience to support this. Like there's a lot of places that like if they tried to do something like this and build out their own thing, like I don't think they would do well. But like Critical Role is kind of the exception that proves the rule. Where like
100%.
Even something like Dimension 20, like if they were to go like separate that out from all the other content, I don't know if that would do as well.
If Dropout were to make a completely separate streaming service for just Dimension 20, like fans would not be happy with that, because I'm pretty sure a solid like 60% of the reason most of their audience has dropped out is to
Yeah.
watch Dimension 20.
Yeah.
Like, everything else is a bonus.
Yeah. Um,
I say that because I am one of those people.
yeah.
I have it mostly for Dimension 20, and then I watch, like, maybe 2 other shows.
Yeah. I would love to see, like, Critical Role roll out this as, like, something that, like, other people could use. Of, like, hey, we built this back end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, plug your content into it kind of thing.
Yep.
And there's some sort of fee to do that. I think that would be
Build
a super
your own
cool way.
assets and banners
Yeah.
and artwork, and then just here's the programming.
Yeah, here's the framework. It's like a one-time
Yeah.
fee or something that's like
Yeah.
that like is nice but isn't like is a nice bonus for Critical Role but isn't like their intent of their livelihood kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so and then they're not taking a cut, kind of like the Taylor Swift idea
Yeah.
of like, hey, I'm going to own my own music. Like I'm going to own the
Yeah.
masters. Kind of do that where it's like, hey, you're going to still own your show. We're not going to take a cut. It is X amount of money for a lifetime subscription to have us
Yeah.
run this. And
Yeah.
so I think that would be cool to see them kind of, I've said this before of like, I like it when Critical Role gets to like swing their weight around as like the big TTRPG channel. And
Mhm.
when they can kind of say, hey, like, we get to be the force for good because of that.
Yeah.
And so,
And especially since they're so aware of their audience, and
Yeah.
even when they do have to make business focused moves like this,
Yeah.
they do it and they handle it in a way that is like as much for the audience as possible.
yeah, I'm really excited. People, if you're doing Beacon, if you're not doing Beacon, let us know what you think. I didn't add this to the notes, but we also got a Game Informer article about some of the new stuff for D&D. Specifically, it looks at some of the art that's involved in the new book and stuff like that. Hopefully it's not AI generated, and then hopefully WotC isn't going to tell us
Hopefully
it's
not.
not to then have to backtrack that like 3 days later after the audience calls them out for it.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I'm excited to see where Critical Role goes next. With that, let's jump into our next topic, and that is the announcement of the next Assassin's Creed game, formerly codenamed Red. We got the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's set to release in November of this year. It's going to be the 14th installment of the Assassin's Creed franchise, which like makes sense.
It's
like
wild.
if I was gonna like name them off, I feel like I could probably easily get 10 of them, if not more.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't do them in order. But like I feel like I could get close to 14. We might do this in post-show chat. I might try to see how many we can name. But like, yeah, it's crazy. This is gonna be the 14th one, and it is the first title on the new Assassin's Creed Infinity platform. And then, much to fans' requests for years, this is also set in 16th century Japan, towards the end of the Shingoku period. And then it's going to continue to focus on the struggle between the Assassin's Brotherhood as well as the Templar Order. And so we're going to have dual protagonists, and which I'm hyped for.
Yep.
It's Nao, Naoe, a female shinobi, and Yasuki, an African samurai inspired by the historical figure with the same name. The two characters will control differently and provide unique gameplay styles, allowing for quests to be approached multiple ways. So, high level, Emma, I know we're both like, I'll say Assassin's Creed fans. Like,
Yep.
I feel like we're both on that side of like, sorry, Roth has a really good joke in chat, which is I can name all 16 Final Fantasies. Like, A+. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. Like I said, I feel like we're both Assassin's Creed fans. Have you been on the Bring Assassin's Creed to Japan train?
So I did not start playing Assassin's Creed until like right after Valhalla came out.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't really know there was a train to be had in that regard. But since its official announcement and even like when the rumors started, I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. Like it's because I also have been playing Ghost of Tsushima on the side, and that's been a lot of fun. So just the concept of anything Assassin's Creed in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Japan, historic Japan, like there seems like a lot of opportunity there. So like ever since rumors started swirling around, or at least ones that I heard of,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, that's a train that I could get on. So I wasn't a part of the initial train when it happened, but when I heard about it, I was like, that's one I could get on. Um, so I'm very excited for this one as well. More excited than Mirage, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like Mirage falls a lot more into what we've known Assassin's Creed to do in the past in terms of like they had Egypt, whichever one that was based in Egypt. Um, so
Origins.
that so that like in my head for whatever reason like they fell into a very similar category. Um, whereas like Valhalla, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Black Flags, like piracy. That's very different from a lot of the other Assassin's Creed games, at least in terms of my interpretations of them
Mm-hmm.
and how well they stand out among the 14 other games.
Yeah.
Um, so this one I am very excited for because it's like it really does sort of spread their
Mm-hmm.
their sort of topics in some ways to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm excited for that. Because I feel like I could be missing something for some of the smaller games. But I feel like I know there was like a China spin-off. There's like I think it was like a 2D side scroller. It wasn't like a mainline game. But
mm-hmm.
so like besides that, I think this is like the first one like on that side of the world. Um,
Yeah,
and so like I'm excited because like we've had
a lot of
America,
it has been
yeah,
Europe and
Middle East,
Middle East
and stuff like
centered.
that. Yeah, and so I'm excited for us to hit this new region of the world, some new historical stuff. Uh, I've said this before. I always love that Assassin's Creed like tries to like teach you some history. Like
Yeah.
now, how seriously they take that history has waned over the years in the sense of like, and this could be wrong, but what I remember hearing is like, as in like Assassin's Creed One, all the characters that you kill are like people that died during the time frame of the game,
Yeah.
and so like there's actual like historic stuff there. And again, I could be wrong, and like
Mm-hmm.
they still do a lot of really cool stuff with history. Like we had
Mirage
the
has those little historic like landmarks.
yeah,
If you got to certain
exactly.
landmarks, they had little like they're like collectibles, but they're also like here's historically what this
Mm-hmm.
area was like. This was the trading center for the city. Um, Facts.
Yeah. And
So
yeah, and that's super cool. I'm excited for them to do some more. Again, a part of history that I feel like a lot of Western audiences, like, we don't know specifics. Like,
mm-hmm.
we're not aware, like, this is the, what did I say, Sengoku period. Like, a lot of Western audiences could, like, we just think samurai and ninjas. Like,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I'm excited for us to get more into like those specific like eras and stuff like that. And so,
100%.
you referenced Ghost of Tsushima. I am really interested to see how this is going to shake up compared to that.
Yeah.
Because like even though they're going to be different games, like they're not going to escape the comparison, especially if Sony were to announce like Ghost of Tsushima 2 soonish. Like I believe we know, I would assume that would count as a major first party, which like unless they were lying or things changed for their previous announcement, like we know wouldn't be coming out this fiscal year. but like they could still announce it and then it's 6 months out. I think it would be really funny if they did that. Of like, oh, y'all are excited for Shadows? Well, here's our game, Ghost of Tsushima 2 Shadows. Like,
here you go.
And they like, I don't think that they would specifically use the same subtitle. I think that would then cause issues, but like, it would also be really funny.
It would be hilarious.
Or if like instead of Ghost of Tsushima, it's Shadow of Tsushima or something like that. Like, and they're just like, oh, please. But yeah, I'm excited for this, and I'm really curious to what the gameplay is gonna be. I'm specifically excited as well for the dual protagonists.
Yeah.
Like,
especially since one of them is black.
Yeah.
Which is like super, I don't want to say rare, but like it's uncommon to have someone of Japanese descent who is of a different skin color. So I'm very intrigued to see where that's going.
Yeah. I haven't played any of the Assassin's Creed with dual protagonists. Syndicate did it, and then I believe Assassin's Creed Odyssey did that as well. But those are some of the ones I have not played. And so I'm very interested to see like what that's going to mean. I like that they've straight up said that the characters are going to have different play styles, because I really like the idea of like, this is kind of like what Spider-Man 2 did, but like where you can approach the missions with some missions with either Spider-Man, but like which one you choose like is obviously then what abilities you have. And so I like the idea here that like one of them could be more stealthy, and then the other one is more like combat focused, or like head-to-head combat focused. And instead of like what I feel like is the Eivor problem is that like Eivor is just good at everything because they're the one character. I really like the idea of there being limitations to how your character plays based on how you're approaching, like what skill trees do they have, like stuff like that. And so I'm definitely interested to see how that's going to play. I've said this in the Discord and chatting with people, like I am curious to how this is going to do, since we have Star Wars Outlaws coming out end of August, and then this is like, I think early-ish November. Yeah, November 15th. And so like for Ubisoft open world games, I don't necessarily know if people are going to be like, ready, but like maybe there's not as much overlap there as I'm anticipating, as like I am the overlap between those two fandoms. So
what, August versus November?
Yeah.
August, so September, October. So that's like 2.5 months, give or take.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, speedrunners are going to be done with Star Wars in like a week, which is wild.
And
but
like
even then.
Yeah, because we'll see, because it is an open world game. So, but I don't think that they've said anything about like how open world is it. So like, for example, for Shadows, they've said it's about the size of Origins. But so it's like going to be smaller than Valhalla. Amen. Because Valhalla is way too big. Just like the sheer size of the map is way too big.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they've said that for Outlaws, but like I could see that being something for a lot of people like me. Like this is my worry about literally myself. Yeah. Of like, even if I beat Outlaws before Shadows comes out, I don't know if I'm going to be in the mood for another 100-something hour open world game. Like,
that's all I play, Cameron.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's like 90% of what I play.
Yeah.
So, but I get that.
Yeah. We'll see. It's like,
I love my open worlds.
Yeah.
Shadows too much. I'm a bit too attached to open world games.
Yeah. And like, this is what happened to me with Mirage, which was like a much smaller game, but it was one I was excited about, but like, I just didn't get there because of the other stuff coming out at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm air quotes concerned in like the biggest first world problem kind of way about like, will I actually get there? I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah. So This does make me excited as well because I believe Assassin's Creed Hexy is the next one. And
Which
so
is, do we
it's
know
going to
anything
be
about
like,
that?
that's like the witch focused one.
Oh.
So I'm
yeah.
really excited for that one.
I'm looking forward to that one as well. Because that's also such a fun concept for the general Assassin's Creed, IP and concept. To merge with something witchy.
Yeah. And like, I feel like that, like you referenced Black Flag, like I feel like Hexy also has the ability to kind of be the like, Black Flag is the pirate one and everyone loves the pirate one. But then like Hexy being the witch one of like, this could play radically different and have so many different things that are like
this
so
could really
out there.
Take this concept, this Assassin's Creed concept, in a completely different route, for just surrounding a completely different culture than a lot of the rest of the world.
And I think that one, like, I think Hexy could also be cool if they didn't lock it to one time period. I think that there'd be really cool to do like witches throughout the years.
Ooh, and like modern day, because like if they really lean back into the like jumping around, but like having, a present day person. Granted, I don't know the entire like story timeline for whatever the present day like scientist research.
I don't know if
is.
anyone does, so you're good.
But like having like, whoever that modern day character is, be someone like, I'm thinking like from the South, New Orleans, who's comes from a family of, self-proclaimed witches who live in the bayou, and has, some cultural, relevance to this, and then experiencing. I don't know if this is actually based on like the Americanized witchiness or like.
I don't think we know.
Side of this.
I don't know if we know much other than like it's going to be witch based.
I'm theorizing. Like, I'm a creative. This is someone gives me, this generalized pitch, and I'm like, ooh, we could go so many different ways with this.
Exactly. So like, for me, this is kind of like the same thing. This is a long walk for a short drink of water. This is kind of a similar thing to me that happened with Kingdom Hearts 3. Where like we knew for a long time that Kingdom Hearts 3's release was not going to be until Final Fantasy 15 came out. Like we knew because it was the same director. So we knew that Final Fantasy Versus 13 that became 15 was their priority. Then once that was done, they'd then be dedicating full time into finishing Kingdom Hearts 3. And so like, of course it had been worked on parallel, but once 15 was done, full steam ahead on Kingdom Hearts 3. And so like this kind of has that same vibe for me of like, I'm really excited for Shadows, but I'm super excited for Hexy. And so I'm really looking like, it's like, this is getting the thing that I'm like 8 out of 10 interested in out of the way. So the thing that I'm 10 out of 10 interested can get there. And so I'm excited. Chat, let us know. Comment section. Are you excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows? And are you planning to get it day one? Are you planning to wait?
Answer.
Yes, there is a correct answer. I will say, when Shanine and Travis were here, we went to Ren Fair, and I re-entered my continual Ren Fair struggle, which is I want to get more Ren Fair clothing, but I don't know what to do. So like I've posted like pictures. I kind of have like a piratey outfit. And so like I'm torn between like, I really like that, but I would like to do more with it. But then I also kind of want to do a Viking. But
that would be fun.
But I also kind of want to do an assassin. 'Cause like there are like the Ren Fair assassin like shops. And I'm like, all 3 of these would be really fun. And then I hit like analysis paralysis or like choice fatigue. And I'm just like, I kind of want to do all of these, but because I can't decide, I do nothing and just keep wearing the pirate costume, which then makes me want to spend more money on the pirate costume because I wear it more often.
That's what I do. My pirate costume, literally I started in like 2013 and have been building on it ever since. Just do that.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I've done.
Costume.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've done. But it just becomes like, some of the challenge is like, I really want to buy one of the sweet jackets, but I live in Texas and the Ren fairs are in the summer. And so it's like, I really don't want to wear this super nice jacket and then just sweat through it, as like our Ren fairs are like late April and then like October. And so like, it's just way too hot for those things for me. And so, which is kind of why I want to do a Viking, because then that's an excuse to like not wear a ton and just sunscreen up. And so, but this has been Ren Fair Talk with Cameron. And so, with that, let's jump into our final discussion topic for the week, and that is spoiler-free thoughts on X-Men 97. So, as implied by spoiler-free thoughts, this is spoiler-free. We're not going to go into anything. In chat, Ross says
spoiler-free.
Exactly. Ross says na. I will say, I don't know how loud it's going to be. I'm not going to do it. I added the X-Men theme song to my soundboard for streaming. So we're hyped for that. Do I know how I'm going to use that? Not at all. But like, it's on there and I'm prepared. And so this blurb, as well as the blurb that I was reading from Assassin's Creed, come from Wikipedia. And so X-Men 97 is the American animated television series created by Bo DeMayo, that is streaming on Disney Plus, based on Marvel Comics superhero team, the X-Men. It is a revival of the X-Men, the animated series, which was from 1992 to 1997. Continuing the story of the X-Men as they who face off new challenges following the loss of their leader, Professor X. X-Men 97 is produced by Marvel Studios via the Marvel Animation label. And then I don't remember for sure if What If had that label, or if it's been like applied to it retroactively. I don't remember. But yeah, so this is kind of tying in all these similar projects. And so, I will also say this is the 10 episode first season is now all out, and then there's a second season in production and a third in development. And so,
nice.
So I've kind of referenced this over the past couple weeks, but I have loved this show. You mentioned watching Bridgerton multiple times. I will probably end up binging X-Men 97, just this one season a couple times. I could definitely see this entering the like show rotation for me. Yep. Of like shows that I really enjoy. And so like every 2 to 3 years, I watch The Office again. I watch Parks and Rec again. I watch Schitt's Creek again, and New Girl, and like Avatar.
Schitt's Creek again.
That's
been slowly creeping its way up my list of.
Yeah, it's so good
to rewatch. I'm admiring my dice again while you talk.
You do what you gotta do.
I'm just.
And so, yeah, I can definitely see this being one of those shows that enters that rotation, and especially because it's 10 episodes and they're like 30-ish minutes each. Like, it's easy to watch.
That's an easy watch.
And so I can definitely see myself like going and doing a rewatch. I assume I will also do a rewatch leading into season 2. And yeah, and so highly recommend people that have Disney Plus, go and check it out. We'll plug this again later. But one of the things that the X-Men animated show has done well in the past is that it's a very good representation of comic book storylines.
Yes.
And so it's like, you really just need to know the most basic version of these characters, because this is that version of them. And
what's Spider-Man's superpowers?
They're
spider-based.
They're spiders.
How did he get them? He was bitten by a radioactive spider. Great, that's all you need to know.
Exactly. And like, because it's followed so closely to the comics, a lot of or the comics that were from that time period in the early 90s, like a lot of those very classic beats of the characters are literally what was in the show. And so, but with that, there is some really cool stuff that is in these. I specifically want to call out episode 4, which is Motendo / Life Death Part 1. And then Life Death Part 2 is a later episode. We are, of course, doing Life Death for our book club for the end of the month. So
yeah,
I do want to call that
it's
out.
so good.
And so, but yeah, so I've really enjoyed this. This follows a lot of the very classic X-Men. You get Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Wolverine, Rogue, Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, as kind of like your main cast. And then like you of course get Magneto, Professor X as well, like Nightcrawler's in there. And then they have some characters like Morph, that's like a much lesser known character. But he's like also a shapeshifter similar to Mystique. I'm sure there's some nuance between their powers, but like,
yeah,
he is also a shapeshifter. In chat, Varoth says, this isn't specific to X-Men 97 or a spoiler, but IMO, Magneto is the best villain in comic books. I love that he's relatable and human and Professor X's bro. Yeah. I agree. And again, I'm trying to keep this as like broad as possible. I think this show is an A+ example of why Magneto is such a great character. Like, he is a great villain, a great anti-hero, kind of wherever he's going to fall on that spectrum, depending on where you're at in the story for him. And I really love that for him as a character. I referenced this in a previous episode, but like, one of the things that I love about this show is that it gives a bunch of different characters their moment to shine. Cyclops has probably like a 5-minute section in this show that is the coolest Cyclops has ever been. Like in any medium or like any like TV show or movie. Like this 5 minutes makes Cyclops way cooler than any other version of this character.
That's awesome.
And that's great. One of the things that I also love is that if you are tired of Wolverine hogging the spotlight of all of the X-Men stuff, Varoth is coming in with really good jokes in chat. And so they say, to be fair, any amount of cool is the coolest Cyclops has ever been. Like, you're right, though.
You're not wrong. You're very right.
But yeah, I really like that. One of the major criticisms that has been leveled at Fox X-Men is that it was basically Wolverine and friends. Now that's because like Wolverine is a great character. A lot of people like Wolverine for obvious reasons, but like even before like we got the 3 Wolverine movies, because there's X-Men Origins Wolverine, there's the Wolverine, and then there's Logan.
Yep.
Of like a third of the Fox X-Men are focused on this one character. Like, he really is the main character of so many of those other movies. And while he is a prominent part of this show, he is not the lead.
Nope.
And so it's really cool to get like have other characters get their chance to shine, and kind of not just have to live in the Wolverine shadow. And so I liked that a lot. I think that was a really very well done part of it. This show also, I was telling Deanna, and I may have said it here as well, does the thing where every episode is, wow, that's the best episode we've had yet. And there's a run, for me, let me get to the actual episode names. Like, I think it was like episode 3 through 9 of that run for me was like, wow, this episode is so good. I don't know how they're going to top it. Wow, this episode was so good. I don't know how they're going to top it. And that just goes for like the whole middle portion of this show. To the point that like the finale kind of feels like a letdown because it's only like a 9 out of 10. Like it's such a good finale, but just like the rest of the show has been so good that like the finale that is still amazing is just a 9. And um so I've really loved that. There's the show also does the tonal shifts really well. There are some like extremely sad and heartfelt moments in this show. And then there are some super dorky like X-Men playing basketball, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love those swings. I love that, like, again, like I don't want to go into spoilers, but people know what I'm talking about that occurs at like the halfway point. And just like the way that they handle those things and their stakes and stuff like that. I really liked that. Similar to your criticism of Doctor Who, that I know we've talked about in Discord. I don't remember if we talked about it last week on the podcast, but like, one of the problems being that like it is so short.
Yep.
And you referenced it earlier. This one with Boom, kind of feeling like it could have been 2 episodes. I do think that that's one of my biggest criticisms of X-Men 97 as well. Is like it is so bingeable at 10 episodes, but like some of these plot lines are not like flushed out enough. Like it would be really cool if, and like this is hard to do, but this is a spoiler for another show. This is a spoiler for Legend of Korra, but like at the end of Legend of Korra, season 1, she loses all of her bending, and that's how she unlocks airbending. And one of the theories is that that was supposed to be the end of season 1, is just to actually end with that as the status quo, but then they have it get fixed so that they can wrap up this season. But the theory is that they only did that because they didn't think they were getting more seasons at the time. And like there's some stuff in this that kind of felt that same way, that like I think would have been cool if an event that happens, I believe at the end of episode 2, if like the consequences of that could have been felt for longer. Things like that. I think that would have been a very interesting like way to handle things, but because the show is so short, they kind of don't get to dwell in some of these storylines. And then even like Life Death, that is like what, like a 6 comic run, is like an episode and a half. Like I think it would have been really cool if things like could have been flushed out a bit longer there. And then speaking of Avatar, this show also did the thing that I really love of, we got a 3-part finale. Let's go.
Hey.
Of like, and I think this is a prime example of like giving the story like the space that it needed. Like it's really cool that we had those 3 episodes as like a part 1, part 2, and part 3. I'm curious to what we'll see happen. If we'll see a return to shows having more fluff, or if we're kind of just past that point where it's like, hey, the fluff is obviously expensive. That's why shows do like flashback episodes and bottle episodes. And like, that's not unique to animation, of course, but like, I'm curious if we'll see that kind of stuff happen more, or like we'll see a return to that. But like so many shows now feel rushed just because they don't have to be 22 episodes.
No.
They can be 8 or 10. And so because of that, they don't have to add that other stuff into it.
Yeah.
So,
but with that, like the 8 or 10 episode, run, you do see shows falling into the trap of rushing things too much.
Exactly.
So I do hope that this means we're like the industry is leaning into a happy medium between the two of like maybe 12, 12, 13, 14 episodes to have the space, but not have too much filler.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of think it's going to be like a pendulum. Like, because we're even seeing this like with Disney in specific of like, oh, we went way too hard on Disney Plus and trying to like pump out stuff, and the quality shows. Like, let alone like, obviously like Netflix has shows like Stranger Things, but they've also had a whole bunch of shows that have bombed. Like, and I really feel like this is kind of in that boat of like, we need to like swing back, give creatives more time, and then hopefully like we'll see how we swing, if it's like investing more money and fewer projects or what. But if that means that we can get more episodes and or get as many episodes as the creatives need to tell their story. I feel like that's the way to say that.
That's really what it comes down to. And unfortunately, the studios don't like that answer because it's not a numerical answer.
Exactly. Exactly. And I feel like
it's not the numerical answer that they want.
Yeah. It's not the potentially more money is not the answer that they want. But yeah, that's kind of the thing with even like episode lengths of like, one of the things that I like about this is like there's a pretty big variable length in some of the episodes, but like you can't really do that with TV. But still, a lot of like streaming medium shows still tend to lock in to about that same length of time, just because that's the habit, even though they don't have to. And so I would love to see them continue to flex more. Like I think the final episode of 97 is like 42 minutes or something like that, 44 minutes, which is like such a like that is a time that you could not do on network television.
Nope.
And I could be remembering that time frame wrong, but like I feel like that's what it was, and like I really like that. I think that that's super cool. I'm excited for season 2 of X-Men 97. We do get a fun like post-credit like tease
Classic
and stuff
Marvel.
like that. It's like not technically post-credit, I guess, but like it's the like the end of seasons. Yeah, it's like the end of season stinger, like clearly setting up the next thing. And I am really excited for what that is going to be, especially after how well regarded this show has been. And so Vera says nothing bad at all is hinted at in the post credits. Nothing
dun, dun,
at all.
dun.
Everything is fine in the X-Men universe. And then I'm not going to go into any spoilers, of course, because this is spoiler-free thoughts. But there's also a bunch of really cool references to other Marvel characters.
I love that.
Like, while the show is X-Men, like, there are members of the Avengers that show up. Like, characters that, like, that they aren't in the show, but because Morph can shapeshift, like, you get a lot of cool references to other characters.
Is it like when Loki turns himself into Captain America in whichever MCU movie that was?
Yeah. So there's a lot of like that kind of stuff, which is really fun. Some of them are like kind of blink if you miss it and you'll miss it, but then like other ones are very like, this is clearly this character, which is super fun. And it just helps. It helps the show feel lived out or lived in. The world feel lived in. Like as like a criticism of the like Sony like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Of like that show or like those movies just kind of feel like, yep, there's Spider-Man.
He's there.
There's no like, there are of course references to stuff, but like they're kind of just Easter eggs. Like there's not like, we never get like Doctor Strange or like the Avengers because they couldn't do that. And so it's fun to see like other characters actually brought in, and while they're not necessarily like major parts of the plot, it's nice that they're at least referenced. So, but with that, Emma, I do hope that you'll go and once you, of course, get time. Like that's kind of the
it's on my list.
Factor, but.
Which I mean, a lot of things are on my list, but I will get to it eventually. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
And with that, we will wrap. Let us know what your thoughts are on X-Men 97. Have you enjoyed it? Do you have a favorite character? Did it change your mind about any character? Cough, Cyclops, cough. That, like, maybe they're actually a pretty good character after all.
Just maybe.
Yeah, just
slightly.
maybe. But with that, I do want to call out, as we said during that we are doing X-Men Life Death as our May book club, and the individual issues, I said episodes, individual issues are available on Marvel Unlimited, or you can pick up the actual book as well. But we'll be doing
when is
that
happening, Cameron? Next Thursday?
Next Thursday on the 30th.
Great. I'm totally not asking for myself.
Yes. Or at least that is the plan.
Totally not asking for my own mental scheduling plan.
Yeah. Of course, we do this as a hobby. Things are subject to change.
No, my schedule's fine. It was just,
but yes,
wanted to make sure I had my day right.
But yeah, with that, we'll head into our post-show chat, where we try to name all 14 Assassin's Creed games. And to find us, you can do that at our social media as OneGeek4011 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go check us out on Discord if you want to hang out. Shoot us an email at onestgeek411@gmail.com. Check out that Redbubble show. Redbubble. Wow, struggling for this outro.
You can do it.
That Redbubble for that merch. You can watch us live on Twitch Monday nights, and then find our videos over on our YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then you can also find us at our personal social media, which I think is what I was trying to get to after Redbubble. I think I was jumping there. Mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I am not prepared with an I am not prepared.
It's been a great week.
Drink some tea.
Read some comics.